Magic loop is a technique which allows you to work a small circumference circular project without a small circumference circular needle. Instead, you use a long circular needle. With magic loop, your stitches are split in two, and you reposition your needles throughout the round so that you can work one set of stitches and then the other. Throughout the process, you will be moving your needles in and out of two positions. I like to call these the neutral and the active positions. Currently, I am in the neutral position. This means that my two needles are lined up with half of the stitches on each needle. The needle tips are both pointing to the right, and I have just worked the stitches on the back needle. This means that my working yarn is attached to the farthest right stitch on the back needle. In the neutral position, it is impossible to knit. So I need to reposition my needles in order to be able to knit the stitches on the front needle. To do this, I need to move my needles into the active position. This just means pulling the back needle tip to the right so that the needle is free and the stitches which were on it are now resting on the cable at the back. I then tuck the right hand needle underneath the working yarn, and I am ready to work across the set of stitches which were on the front needle in the neutral position, but which are now on the left needle in the active position. Once I have finished working those stitches, I need to return to the neutral position. So I turn my work so that the stitches which I just worked are at the back. Then I grab the cable and pull it to the left, so that the stitches which were resting on the cable are now on the empty needle tip. And with that, I am back in the neutral position with the stitches I just worked at the back and my working yarn attached to the farthest right stitch on the back needle. And I now need to work across the stitches on my front needle. So I would just repeat the process of pulling my back needle to the right, slipping it under the working yarn, and knitting across the other half of the stitches. To work magic loop, you just keep repeating this process. One thing that you might notice is that my beginning of round marker is in the middle of one of the two sets of stitches. This is a little unusual. A lot of people place their beginning of round at one of the points where they pull their cable through. This can save them the need for a marker. However, the point where you pull your cables through is, structurally, a weak point. A lot of people find that their stitches get a little tight or a little loose here. As the beginning of round is often the point at which you introduce a new colour or start working a heel flat, I don't want it to be at the structural weak point. If you want to see how I set up my magic loop so that my beginning of round is in the middle of one of the two sets of stitches, I have a separate video tutorial for that, which I will link below.